Good morning and welcome to Speaking Out Loud. I am your host, Rene Ruiz, and along with me is the man with the bye, the man with the tries, the guy with the big chest, the one and only John Borba.
Yo,
Yes,
yo, yo.
welcome, JB. Welcome, JB. JB, these 5 o'clock mornings, they're catching up a little bit.
They are. They are.
Just
That's
a
all
little
right.
bit. I ain't gonna lie. I got a different level of respect for the morning radio hosts, especially those people that go to like live at like 5 o'clock. I'm assuming they probably get up like around 3. I get up about. I've been getting up at 5, kind of refreshing giving myself a little bit of time to breathe in the morning, get my coffee ready, and then do the whole morning thing, where brush teeth, take a shower, whatever, do your hair, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But brother, man, I ain't gonna lie. It's a little tough. It's a little tough when you're not used to it. So I guess here in about like a couple weeks, here about week 2, week 3, maybe more week 3. It's like we're progressing with the league right now. It's a little sloppy in week 1. Defenses really are kind of getting it together. As for us, we're kind of getting our bodies ready for being up so early, especially when you're not used to it. Um, JB, you don't have no kiddos, so you can get up probably like 20 minutes before, jump in the shower quick, brush teeth, boom, jump out and hit the road. Uh,
Usually.
Fortunately for me, my partner, very good partner. My wife's a dog and is carrying the load to allow me to be able to do this with you. So shout out to my wife. And shout out to my kids who throw us on every now and then in the morning. So shout out to my daughter for that. I appreciate you guys joining. People on YouTube, Facebook, and also on TikTok. Slowly but surely, we're going to be able to get the feed directly to TikTok, but we have to get to 1,000 followers. Is from what I was reading to get the stream key to allow it to connect. So people who are watching on TikTok, slowly but surely, will get there with having both me and Johnny on the camera. As of right now, you just get myself. So shout out, JB. Let's get right into what we got to talk about. We got a solid slate. We're gonna go ahead and Jalen Carter suspended, maybe. Brock Purdy hurt. Okay. George Kittle out. Wow. Jared Goff, are the Lions completely dead, or do we overreact on Monday? Maybe. Rex Ryan goes off on the Miami Dolphins at Tua Tagovailoa and Mike. I think he called him. Um, I'm gonna have to look up my notes here in a second. I forgot what he called him, but he was talking some shit, which was Rex Ryan. That's Rex Ryan on ESPN. That's Rex Ryan
Yeah.
football, right? But let's go ahead and talk about this Jalen Carter suspension. So Jalen Carter was only fined, I believe it was roughly around like $53,000, which is chump change to a man who's making, to a multi-millionaire, right? And who's probably going to get the bag yet again. Um, they counted his ejection they considered that as a 1 game suspension, so it sounds like they were going to give him a game suspension regardless. I agree with them there. Um, I think he should have been suspended for 4 games. I In some cities or in some states, spitting on someone is considered assault. Maybe I'm being a little dramatic. Maybe I'm being a little biased, considering I am a Cowboys fan. But spitting on someone is like next level disrespect. And I think you kind of, if you only suspend them for 1 game and a $50,000 fine, I think that kind of opens up to um, what the possibilities are of what can be done. Of course, the next person will probably be made the example of, but I would have liked the NFL to just nip it in the butt, make an example of Jalen Carter, and keep it moving. The loser in this whole situation is probably the Chiefs because now they got to deal with Jalen Carter this coming up weekend. Um, but what are your thoughts on Jalen Carter's punishment?
Uh, I think if it was, obviously it was before a snap. So if you're gonna suspend him 1 game, okay, that makes sense. It was before the game really even started. So if I think if it was like a spit like to the face, like if it goes like through his, we see Dak get spit on in the face. I think then you're looking at a multiple game suspension. Um, was a little provoked. There was some issues with that. Did Dak kind of instigate it, got under Jalen Carter's skin, but ultimately it was just a bad move by Jalen Carter. So I don't have no problem with it. It is what it is. You pay the money, you don't play a full game, and you move on. We'll move on. We're on to the next week. Put it in the past, but if it does happen again to somebody else, I think you see a bigger fine. I think you see a bigger suspension, and because I'm pretty sure the whole league is aware of that. You know what I mean? So every team is aware of that and the consequences of it. And if it happens now, I think you see a bigger punishment to the next person that it happens to, especially to a shot to the face. For Jalen Carter, he spit like on his chest, on his number or whatever, number 4. So, if it
I'm
was,
being dramatic. I'm being dramatic here.
I think you're
Just
being
a
a
little
little,
bit.
you're just being a little dramatic because it was against the Eagles and stuff like that. But I really think 1 game suspension, that's fine. He didn't play a snap. I was thinking at least a 2-game suspension. Um, But nope, it's just the way the league is right now, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, bro, I just don't like it. The thought of getting spat on just ah.
Yeah, it's
And
pretty.
I know some people like Shady McCoy were kind of throwing some shade at Dak, calling him soft because he didn't react. And I guess he wanted him to I guess he wanted him to get a little hood, bring out a little G, and I guess he wanted him to square up with Jalen Carter. I don't know what his expectation was, but he called him soft. He said that basically showed. I'm paraphrasing here, but he basically said that Dak's soft and he don't think people are scared of him. Which I mean, I don't think a lot of those. I definitely don't think any linemen are scared of anybody. This is kind of like the UFC thing. Uh, Whenever people say this guy's scared to fight me, I highly doubt 99% of those guys. I think most of them are scared to just make that walk. They're going out in their underwear to fight in front of the world. So that I could see where it'd be scared, but it's actually like being scared of another individual, highly doubtful. And I think in this situation, same thing. I don't think a 280-pound lineman is afraid of any quarterback in any situation. And no disrespect to them, unless you're Cam Newton, because Cam Newton's like 280 himself, right? Six
Yeah.
four, 280, something like that. But yeah, Jalen Carter. All right, 1 game suspension, or yeah, which already happened. Uh, we'll take it as it is. Next guy, careful. It's gonna be 4 games. They're gonna make an example out of you. Just keep your spit in your mouth there. Spit it on the floor. Be smart. Be like Dak, idiot. Come on, keep it moving. JB, the Lions suffered a massive loss on Sunday. They looked terrible. They go against the Chicago Bears, who looked pretty decent in the first half or just the first drive. Depends how you want to look at that. Um, Jared Goff going against his former OC and Ben Johnson. What are your expectations for that game?
I expect there to be a bounce back by the Lions. I mean, you can't get any worse than they kind of did in week 1. So I think you find out what was working for you, what wasn't working for you, what you can execute better, come in with a better game plan. Or I mean that's the positive take from it. You know what I mean? Or you're struggling in a 4-quarter game against Chicago, which on paper, it looks like Detroit should win that game. You know what I mean? But oh, I really don't know with everything kind of up in the air offensively and defensively in Detroit. I think we might get a game on our hands. I mean, obviously Ben Johnson knows exactly what the Detroit Lions want to do offensively, defensively. He knows he's practiced against them for the last couple of years. He probably knows what the tendencies are of these players, et cetera, et cetera. How can we attack the best way to attack this defense in Detroit, which is it's going to start up front. You got to create some time for Caleb Williams. We saw in that Vikings game, once everybody got settled down, you saw Caleb was getting pressured a lot. They were having some trouble picking up the blitz. He was hurried a lot. He was sacked in the second half. So the offensive line overall does have to get a little bit more intact for the Chicago Bears because Detroit's going to come. Detroit's going to come after him, and it's going to depend of how Detroit's going to pick up that blitz, the front four. So yeah, I think if Detroit can come in with a game plan to that starts up front, we'll see how the game plays out. If they can control the chaos up front, get Jared Goff settled in, then okay, I think Detroit kind of gets back on track. But if not, Ben Johnson is on that sideline scheming up.
Oh, Detroit. We might
Yeah,
be right. Could you
can hit
imagine
the
if
panic
Detroit
button
loses this game?
early, because it doesn't get easier for
This
Detroit after this.
Not at all, at all. But let's just point out a couple things that Jared Goff and Ben Johnson accomplished together at their time there at Detroit. JB, did you know in 23 they went 13-4, and in the last year they went 15-2. Their first year together, they went all the way to or not first year, second year. They went all the way to an NFC championship game where they had the chance to win. Jared Goff probably had his best season last year, or he had his best season last year. They had the highest scoring offense at 33.2 points a game. Jared Goff was in the MVP. He was one of the MVP finalists. Wow,
Yeah,
interesting. And Ben Johnson won Assistant Coach of the Year. Did you know that?
assistant coach here? No, I did not know that.
What a what a dog. That's cool. I didn't realize how much they accomplished together while they were together.
Yeah,
And now they're going to battle it out on Sunday. I look forward to that one. I look forward to it just because I mean that the panic button is red right now. It's like it's flashing in the background of that locker room. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that game plays out. We'll cover it a little bit more tomorrow. Um, do 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 you think what you saw from the Jets Sunday, losing a close one to the Steelers? Do you think that Justin Fields can get that team to the playoffs?
I think they compete. I don't know if they can make it to the playoffs, but I do think they are improved, at least by what we saw on week one. Now, Justin Fields, what they're going to do, I mean, they're going to run the heck out of the ball. The defense does have to tighten up a little bit. Can't give up 34 points after scoring over 30. That always is frustrating. So you got to tighten up defensively. And Terry Glenn said it yesterday in his presser after the game. He said, we can't turn the ball over. If we turn the ball over, you're not going to be on the field. Whoever's turning the ball over is not going to be on the field. So straight up, he said that. So Terry Lynn, he means business. Uh, Team's got to tighten up a little bit offensively, but defensively, you got to tighten up. You can't be giving up over 30 points a game and expect
Yeah,
to
for
win these
sure.
games. You know, it's kind of how Mark Sanchez and Rex Ryan kind of ran it. 15 years ago.
Yep.
Heavy run game, good offensive line, and win the games with your defense. Control the clock. That's kind of what you have to do right now as a Jet. You got to instill that mentality, and they're going to have to grind out these games. And you cannot make turnovers. You cannot have turnovers offensively, or you will lose most of those games. So you got to tighten up.
JB, you know what's crazy is Glenn is a DC or was a DC out there in Detroit, and his defense is the reason they lost that game. Granted, it is early, so there's adjusting. I mean, I'm sure they're going to get better as time goes by. Every defense seems to get better. It's always a little sluggish at the beginning of the season. That's probably because a lot of the starters don't get any playing time in the preseason. JB, ESPN has the Jets with a 16% chance to make the playoffs after week one's loss. And let me just read to you their next couple games. Once I pulled up their schedule, I was like, holy shit, this is not good. So first L versus Steelers this weekend. They head over to Buffalo.
Yep.
That doesn't look good. And I'm not saying they're going to lose these games, but I don't favor them in these games. Obviously, they do have a chance to win. They still got to go out there and play. But week two against the Bills, that's going to be a tough one. Week three against the Buccaneers, I guess that one's up in the air. But
Yeah.
assuming that the Buccaneers start to click a little more, I would probably give them another L. So I would have them sitting at 0-3 going into week four against the Dolphins. Maybe that's where they get their first win. And I think at that point, if they do beat the Dolphins are more than likely going to completely blow that up. After that, they got the Cowboys, Broncos, and Panthers, Bengals, and Browns. Damn.
I mean, you might be looking at maybe 3 wins
All right,
through
so
the
let me
first
just name them
6,
to you,
7
and you
weeks.
just say L or dub, okay?
Okay.
All right. Bills,
L.
Buccaneers.
L. I mean, you know what? Let's go with a W on that one.
Okay, so we're sitting at 1-2. Dolphins.
Let's go with a W.
Okay, so we're sitting at
2-2.
2-2, and then now the Cowboys.
I would take that as an L.
Okay, I was about to end the
Yo.
live right now. All right, Broncos.
Oh man, it's gonna be a scrappy game. I take it as an L.
Yeah, okay, so we're sitting at two, two
Two and
and
four.
four, 2-4, 2-4, heading over to Carolina. That's not a terrible spot to be in.
No,
The back end of their schedule. Uh, I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad. The back end would be the Browns, Patriots, Ravens, Falcons, Dolphins, Jaguars, Saints. And then they end it with the Bills. That's gonna be close. It's probably 50-50. I think I'll give them a better chance than what ESPN is giving them at 18%, but it's probably sitting right around that for me. It's going to be a lot of toss-up games. It feels like their schedule. They're probably going to come down to a lot of one possession games, and then it's a matter of, are you a winner or are you a loser? And we'll find out shortly. JB, um, Brian Schottenheimer, the head coach for the Dallas Cowboys, yesterday on his for his media day, he had a conversation. If Jay, if you could pull that up for us so we can listen to it, JB, just kind of listen to the words here. I feel like maybe he was a little critical, but you let me know what you think. Go ahead and play that for us, Jay.
Nick. Nick Harris for Star Telegram. Brian Daniels said yesterday after the Giants game that he wasn't necessarily committing to Russell Wilson as a starter. As far as prepping for
No?
two quarterbacks during the
Are we
week,
playing?
what does that look like for you guys? And is there much of a challenge that goes into that?
Well, first of all, Dave's a really good friend of mine. We were together with the Jets. He's never going
Are
to
we
give you
playing
guys
it?
much.
No?
He's smart. He's been
Yeah.
around Bill, Coach Belichick. But again, we've obviously I know Russ very well.
All right. I guess we're not going to play that one. It's not going, Jay. Shall we come back to
No,
it?
it's on. It was on there.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
All right,
Let it
Ronnie, tell
ride.
me when it's over because it's not playing on my side.
Nick Harris for Star Telegram. Brian Daniels said yesterday after the Giants game that he wasn't necessarily committing to Russell Wilson as a starter. As far as prepping for two quarterbacks during the week, what does that look like for you guys? And is there much of a challenge that goes into that?
Well, first of all, Dave's a really good friend of mine. We were together with the Jets. He's never going to give you guys much. He's smart. He's been around Bill, Coach Belichick. But again, we've obviously I know Russ very well. Won a lot of games together in Seattle. Can't wait to see him. And then, of course, there's video of Jackson from college in the preseason. Supposedly played great in the preseason. I didn't see that. So we'll be ready for both of them. But again, we're just starting.
JB, what's your takeaways from listening? Am I over? I feel like there was a little shot in there, But what'd you get?
You think the shot at Schottenheimer not saying that he saw Jackson Dart during the preseason? He
Yeah,
didn't see
yeah. Is
nothing.
that just like a didn't see
I
it, or
think
he's
it's
saying
tied
like,
to where like he just didn't follow it. Yeah, I don't think he was taking a shot. You could take it that way for sure, but I don't think he meant that. I don't think that was his intention to just kind of,
yeah,
ruin
yeah,
Jackson Dart's parade or anything like that. So, no, I mean, fair take on that. I don't think you need to overreact to it. What we do need to overreact to is what the heck is going on in Giants land because uh, this guy, I mean, I don't know if they're waiting for their left tackle, Andrew Thomas, to come back. And then when Andrew Thomas comes back and solidifies that O line, then you bring Jackson Dart in because right now he's just looking like bait out there for front sevens, for front fours to get after. Obviously, Russell Wilson had an issue with the pressure in week one. So, no, I don't think it was a shot. I think it was just he's just calling it how he saw it. He didn't see nothing on it. I mean, he's focused on his team. He's the coach of his team. He's not worried about the Giants in the preseason. He's got to take care of that week one matchup. When you got Philly,
yeah.
when you got to go to Philly week one, I don't think you're paying attention to week two. As of
It,
so I don't think it was a shot. I think it's just a fair assessment. So yeah,
Yeah.
and who's
Okay.
to say that kind of speaking of the Giants still, uh obviously Russ is on a short leash. I don't think he should be in the game. But you still got Jameis Winston in there too, who obviously is a gunslinger. He's going to make a couple of mistakes. So do you ride it out with Russ, wait for Andrew Thomas to get back, and then insert Jackson Dart? But I don't think he was taken because Jackson Dart did have a really good preseason. You know, he was
Yeah. Yeah.
one of the talking points of the preseason. So I don't think it was a shot. But I think next time these two teams end up playing again later on the season, I think Jackson Dart will be the starter though.
For sure. We posted a video or a clip of our conversation on Monday about Russ being sent to the bench, 1-2 stepping and whatnot. They immediately came out. Brian Dable immediately came out and said Russ is going to be the starter for Week 1. As the comments start to come in, JB, they're all pretty clear as to what's going on in New York. It was a bunch of O line, O line, O line. Why do you want to put Jackson Dart out there with a terrible O line? That it's not the quarterback, it's the O line. So it seems like New York fans are sympathetic towards Russell Wilson because that O line does stink, and Russ was kind of running for his life. If you just go look back at the highlights, it was a tough watch. He really didn't have any time to do anything. So I don't want to say I apologize for being a little harsh on Russell Wilson because you do. I still think
No.
you should move on. Why not? Why not just put Jackson Dart out there? Maybe you don't want to get him killed. I get it, but you can scheme up things to just get him comfortable, allowing him to get a feel of the pace of the game, the flow of the game, and maybe get some good film out of it, so that way, whenever that left tackle does come back, he's prepared rather than just being tossed out there and expected to do great things. Right now, it's like if you throw him out there, you don't expect him to do much. You don't expect him to be a world beater. You put him out there with the understanding that you just got to be patient. And if you see glimpses of greatness, then perfect. It gives the fan base hope. But as of right now, you're just kind of going out there to lose. Really, that's what it feels like. Like when I wake up, if I'm a Giants fan and I wake up in the morning and I brush my teeth and I do my hair and I put my jersey on, yeah, I'm just drinking. Like at that point, you're just drinking. And if you're an alcoholic, you should probably call a hotline.
You know,
You
yeah,
know,
it's one of those things where and we kind of saw this. I was watching a little bit of ESPN yesterday. There's two sides of it. Obviously, get Russ on the field. But does this team expect to be a 10-win team? No. So it's kind of like, what are we losing if we just throw Jackson Dart out there, throw him to the wolves, let him learn on the run, blah blah, this and that. And then you have another side to it where it was brought up where you got in this instance on Monday Night Football, you had Caleb Williams going up against JJ McCarthy. Caleb Williams was a starter last year in Week 1. Oh, he's not going to learn unless you throw him out there. And then you can argue against JJ. Obviously getting hurt, but not seeing any game time last year. But he was in every meeting, every practice,
yeah,
spent an hour a week with Kevin O'Connell. You know, there's two sides that you can look at this thing, how to approach putting in a young guy. Obviously, you got to take into consideration, yeah, I got a young guy, but I also don't have a very good team around him right now. Very strong offensive line. Let's take it slow. Uh, you know, even like you're pretty much just kind of throwing the season away. It almost seems like if you're not,
feels like
yeah, they're just not at a place to win right now. So it's very hard about how to approach that. So obviously with Jackson Dart and that management, it's probably not the worst management in the world. They're probably following a guideline for Jackson Dart to check off all these boxes before he gets playing time. And what's the rush? You know, at this point,
yeah,
you're not a playoff team. You know, so there's two sides that you can kind of look at it like.
for sure, for
You know,
sure.
throw them out there, kind of like how Chicago did last year. Let them go through the ups and downs and everything like that. But then you can say that, you know, last year Caleb Williams developed a lot of bad habits that Ben Johnson now is stuck with, trying to get rid of with Caleb Johnson. You saw it, a guy that reverted kind of back to his old ways after first couple possessions of that Monday night game. You don't want Jackson Dart learning any bad habits, running from his life, extending plays, holding on to the ball too long, not being sure of what he's seeing. So there's a lot of ways that you can attack it. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
we'll see.
And former college phenom. So let's transition over to some college football. We have the former UNM cornerback, the one, the only, Tim Foley. Tim, what's up, brother? Oh, we can't hear you, Tim.
Can you guys hear me now?
Good.
Yep, we're good to go.
Perfect. Morning. How you
Tim,
guys doing?
bro, good. What time do you normally get up?
Typically around like 6 o'clock. My son sleeps in a little bit till like about 6:30. So about 6 o'clock. Kind of a late riser
Okay,
in that
you're up.
sense.
Have you always been a morning person, or?
Not at all, man. My fiance is the morning person of us. If I could sleep in till 10 o'clock every day, I would. But unfortunately, a kid doesn't allow you to do that.
Yeah, amen, bro. Amen, Tim. All right, let's get right into it. Let's talk college football, and let's start off. Let's hit everybody with Heisman, your top three Heisman standings that you got for us.
Yeah, so my top three Heisman, I have number one, I have Garrett Nussmeier. He's the quarterback at LSU. What I like about him, he's a senior at LSU, and in today's day and age, this is rare. He's been at LSU all 5 years. Now with the transfer portal and everything like that, you see people having a different team every year, and this guy's stuck it out, stayed at LSU. He had a great game week one against Clemson that we talked about. He had a great command of the offense. He is seasoned. He has weapons around him, and he has a great defense behind him, which is really going to help drive that Heisman race. Because whenever you have a lot of wins as a team, it really looks good on you in the Heisman, as well as being a senior. He on the season so far, he's got 68 completion percentage. 469 yards of passing and 2 touchdowns, 1 INT. They kind of had a little bump in the road last week against Louisiana Tech, but I see them really coming around this week. They have a big game that we're going to talk about a little bit later on games to watch. And then number two, I have Lenora Sellers. He's probably, in all honesty, he's my favorite for the Heisman race. But with him only being a sophomore, not putting up the best of numbers these first 2 weeks, I have him at number two. He's got a big game coming this week. Again, that we'll talk about a little bit later. He's a dual
Against our
threat
boy.
guy. Yep. Again, against the local hero, Diego Pavia. But he's got big play capabilities, and he's really, really good at extending the play on some broken plays. Um, and that's why I have him at number two. He's just really a human highlight reel. You kind of see flashes of like a Lamar Jackson, maybe not as shifty, but really good at extending the play. And then number three, I have who I think it'll kind of be, I might get some pushback on this, but I have Carson Beck at number three. And the reason why is the quality of wins that he's had so far. Again, we're only in week three, so we still have plenty of football left to play. But what a lot of people don't see when they see him, they just kind of see him as this big transfer from Georgia. For those of you that don't know, he was at Georgia last year, got injured, and then now he's at Miami. Probably had one of the largest NIL deals thus far to move to Miami. So far, he's got 76.4 completion percentage. He has thrown for 472 yards, 4 touchdowns with no INTs. He also has the fifth best QBR in the country right now at 89.3. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He has a great team around him. This week is going to be a big challenge for both teams that they play, which is also going to be one of those games to watch that I'll talk about a little bit later. How do you guys feel? I know you guys aren't really too into college football, but do you guys have any Heisman favorites that I didn't mention here?
JB.
For me, I really like Lenore Sellers. I think Nussmeier so far, like what I've read into and watched and stuff like that, he is number one. Even in Vegas, he's the number one. Has the highest odds to win the Heisman. Real quick on Lenore Sellers, I know he's a kind of human highlight reel, everything like that. what are some of the things, obviously extending the play and the arm strength, everything like that? What's some of the when you just turn on the game and you see this guy dropping back to pass and how he kind of controls that offense and the plays that he makes, what's some of the things that instantly jump off the screen to you when you're watching a guy like Lenore Sellers?
For me, it's his command in the pocket as well as being comfortable in this offense.
Yeah.
You can tell that whenever his first and second reads aren't there, he's not a panic type of guy. He's going to go get you some yards and make negative plays into positive plays, which is a great tell of a great quarterback and also a great offense, because a lot of the times you're going to go off script and you have to have confidence in your quarterback that he's going to be able to go make those plays for you. If you look at the stats, he hasn't thrown a whole lot of passes this year. Again, he's a dual threat guy, and they're trying to get everybody involved. Last year, he kind of carried the ball maybe a little bit too much. They don't want to see him kind of going on to that injured list. They want to have him the whole season and be able to make a run deep into the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, fun fact about Lenore. He also was a soccer high school phenom. So shout out to him. I think I like him now since I'm the soccer guy. That's pretty cool. Uh, Garrett Nussmeyer, I saw that he backed up Jaden Daniels for a couple years before now getting the spotlight. How impactful do you think that will be? Just him sitting behind a guy that now we're seeing at such a high level.
Yeah, I think that's a big reason why I have him at number one is because he's stuck to the program. He went there knowing that he's not going to be the guy all 5 years, and he's going to sit there and learn behind Heisman Trophy winners and a great coach. So I think because of that reason, he's flourishing right now. There's a lot of kids in the transfer portal NIL deals nowadays that if they're not that guy, the second they walk in the door, they've checked out week 2 or 3 and they're already looking to leave. And back when I was playing, that wasn't the case. If you left, you had to sit out a year. So you were pretty much stuck where you were at unless you were okay with giving up a year of eligibility. And Garrett Nussmeyer has shown that he's a leader, that he can lead a team, that he's been around the locker room for 5 years, and they recognize his face there in that program.
Oh, what a dog. Loyalty, loyalty, loyalty. And then just on Carson Beck real quick. Do you he came from Georgia. Georgia didn't decide to match or give a better offer for keeping him. Does that concern you at all, or it's just one of those things where they just didn't feel like it was a good fit for their program?
I think there's a couple things. There was kind of some chatter during last season that he wasn't that great of a quarterback. I just think the system he was in didn't let him flourish and make decisions the way that he does. Being at Georgia, you're kind of like when you're in those big programs like in Alabama, when Nick Saban was there, or Georgia, there's a tradition there, and there's kind of like steps that you have to take to be able to be a part of a program, and you're not able to kind of get to freestyle and do your own thing a little bit. And I think with that move to Miami, I think they're allowing him to be able to extend plays, throwing the ball deep. He didn't really have a lot of deep threats like that at Georgia. Really strong run game, really good defense. He was really just like a game manager. And then at Miami, they're allowing him, like Cam Moore last year, to kind of let the ball go and go get the ball into their playmakers' hands and go win some football games.
Yeah, hell yeah, cool. Uh, Carson Beck, TikTok guy, right? His girl's the Cavender, one of the Cavender twins. Am I getting that right? I know
Yep.
that's just a random thing that just came to my head, but because we also have our tight end for the Dallas Cowboys, he's also with the other sister. Being with twins, that seems a little confusing, but none of my business. We'll keep it going. Tim, let's go ahead and you wanna yeah, you wanna tell us a little bit about your shall we go into your power rankings?
Yeah, yeah. So my power ranks, I don't have a whole lot of changes. The I have Ohio State number one. They again, we already talked about it. They had a great week 1 win against at the time number one Texas. Um, they did what they're supposed to do against Grambling in week 2. They won 70-0, and I know this is going to sound weird, but it is hard at any level, especially the Division 1 level, to keep a team to 0 points. Even when you have your third string in, they're gonna make some mistakes. What this shows is that that Ohio State team, they're getting their twos and their threes ready to play football games. They're getting practice reps. They're getting the live 11 on 11 team period, and it's showing. And even great teams can sometimes play down to the level of their competition. And the fact that Ohio State won handily 7-0 against Grambling, which everybody knew this was going to happen. Grambling's coach, I remember at the press conference before the game, he said, "We are going to be, we're going to be competitive. Our band is." Their band was going to be competitive against Ohio State's band. He knew going in there that they were getting paid to go in there and get whipped up on. I thought that they would have at least scored, but since they didn't, I think that just shows it's more of a testament to Ohio State. They have a big game later on in the season when they play Penn State in November. But as of right now, they're playing some pretty weak teams. They have Ohio this week, where they're 31.5 point favorites. They're playing week 4 at Washington, and then week 5 against Minnesota. So they have some easy games coming up to get ready for the big Penn State game. And then I have Penn State at number 2. They've done what they're supposed to do. They have some pretty weak teams these first 3 weeks. But they've done what they needed to. They play Villanova this week, which is not a very good football team. Then they have a bye before they go and play the number 4 ranked team in Oregon. That's going to be a great game to watch. We'll talk about that more next week. But this week, they're big favorites over Villanova. I don't see them moving up or down in the power rankings after this week. I have number 3, which was a big jump, Oregon. I have
Huge
them
jump.
huge jump. I have them up there at 3, and the reason why is because they're explosive offense. I know in the past when Marcus Mariota was there, they were a high-powered offense. I see them getting back into that groove. The reason why, coming into week 3, they're averaging 68 points a game on the offense. I don't care who you are, you're not going to be able to beat them in a shootout battle when they're averaging 68 points. They don't have a lot of big games. They play at Northwestern this week, and they're 27.5 point favorites. I see them covering that. They're coming off a huge win against Oklahoma State last week, 69-3. They put up 631 yards of total offense. They were just running up and down the field on these guys. So, and that's the reason I have them making that big jump. Number 4, I have LSU. They had a big win week 1 that we talked about at Death Valley and Clemson. They had a very aggressive game last week against Louisiana Tech. It wasn't kind of what they wanted. They only won 23-7, but they still got the W. They have another test this week. They're playing Florida. That's going to be an interesting game. Florida just lost to USF. They're out of the top 25, and it's going to be a big game because this is Florida's chance to get back on schedule. If they were to upset LSU this week, it kind of puts them back on the map. And then LSU also needs this win to be able to keep moving forward. Number 5, Miami. They had a big week 1 win over Notre Dame. You got to have them up there. They're doing great. Carson Beck's doing great. And they have a really, really big game this week against USF, which is kind of a question mark. Still, in my mind, they've beat Alabama. They've had some big wins thus far, but this is going to be a real test. This is going to see if Miami, it really is a top team in the country, or if USF is kind of just a Cinderella story, and if they're going to be making that college football playoff run.
Dang, I got a question for you real quick. So, just
Yeah.
looking at your power rankings from last week, it looks like we removed Georgia from the 3rd spot. What happened? What happened to Georgia this past week in that completely removed them from there?
What the reason for me is the reason I switched them with Oregon is just because of how high powered Oregon has been looking. Oregon, regardless of who they're playing, they're putting up huge numbers, and I see them to continue to do that throughout the season. For Georgia, I still think that they're kind of a question mark losing Carson Beck. They have a great defense, like always. So we'll see once they play these bigger schools in the next coming weeks. But that's why I had Oregon move up, is because of they're
Makes
just
sense. So it's
it's fun to watch them play.
Yeah.
not a Georgia thing, just a Oregon is pretty good thing.
Right,
And then
exactly.
obviously Texas, Archie Manning may be hurt, maybe not hurt. What's the reasoning for us pulling them from the 5th spot? And same thing, is it a Texas thing or is it just a
Miami thing.
Miami thing?
For this one, it's a little bit of both. like we talked about on Monday, Texas kind of came out a little bit slow. They made a lot of mistakes in that game, um, and the reason why it is because it's early for them. I still think they're still meshing as a football team. Because of that, I don't see them as a top five team in the country. If you're still having to make some adjustments that to the extent that they're having to make, I just don't see them as being a top five team. They are going to play some good teams coming forward in the next few weeks. That gives them the opportunity to beat them and move up in the rankings. Again, it's really only the top 10 who matter because we're going to have those top 10 slots and then those other two slots for the college football playoff. So as long as they can stay in that top 10, they'll have a chance. I just don't see them as being a top five team this week.
Oh, I like it. That's Tim's power rankings. Tim, what should we look forward to watch this weekend?
Yeah, so I have some my games to watch. I have we have number 6 Georgia at Tennessee, number 15 ranked team in the country. Tennessee is 3.5 point dogs in that. Another game I have Texas A&M, number 16 team in the country, playing at Notre Dame, number 8 ranked team in the country. Texas A&M is 7 point dogs in that. Florida at LSU that we talked about before. It's going to be a big game. Florida's trying to make a name for themselves again, get back on the map. LSU is trying to keep their season moving forward.
Hey, where are we sitting
Another
on that one?
For me, I have LSU covering. There's 7.5 points. I hope Florida comes out and puts up a game to get their name back in the discussion. But LSU is just a great football team, and I don't see them letting that happen, especially at LSU.
So we're still on the train of Florida's dead.
I am right now. I am. They can make a statement this week, though. I mean, if they even make a close game and take LSU down to the wire, they're kind of back in it in my eyes. But it's
And when I say dead, I just mean out of the playoffs, right? Because that's all
yeah,
we're looking for is getting to the dance.
yeah, exactly. And the reason why is because they have literally the hardest football schedule in college football. So even if they get past LSU, there's still 4 or 5 more games that they're going to be underdogs in that they're going to have a dogfight to go win.
Hell yeah. And then just real quick, Texas A&M in that Notre Dame game that you mentioned. I see a lot of people calling for an upset on the college football shows. Texas A&M getting one over Notre Dame. I saw Notre Dame, if they do lose, they have an 8% chance to get into the playoffs. They are an independent school. So does Notre Dame get past this, or does everybody's wishes kind of get fulfilled and they get upset? How you feel?
I think Notre Dame gets past this, and the only reason why is because this is really one of their last um, games on their schedule to make a name for themselves. If they lose this Texas A&M game, there is no chance that they're going to be in the college football playoff, only because they kind of have a weak schedule after that. Even if they beat up on every team, they're going to have those 2 losses, and it's going to look bad on their record. So this is a do or die for Notre Dame this week in South Bend, and I think we're going to see a great football game.
Hell yeah, Tim. I appreciate it. Tim, and if you don't mind, just give us a quick little rundown of these bets that you got for us.
Them covering at 27.5, and then mixing that with LSU. I don't think I don't think the whenever I made these bets, that line was that line on Monday. I think it's changed now. And then my locks, I have Clemson, and I also have UConn. I know that game is not going to be a hugely televised game, UConn against Delaware, but UConn did great last week against Syracuse, so I see them covering against Delaware.
Damn. That's our guy right there, Tim Foley, in the college football weeds. I appreciate you coming on this morning, Tim. You have a hell of a day, brother.
You as well. Thank you, guys.
Ladies and
Yeah,
gentlemen,
take care.
Tim Foley. I wish they could hear us clapping, but I think our mics cancel out like the
Like our
background
sound
noise.
around us. Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed
Try
that
to
when
put
I
the
was trying
sound
to clip
effect in
the
there.
show yesterday. When I was trying to clip the show yesterday and we're like hitting the skull.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can't hear nothing. So I
Yeah.
just look. You just see this.
Silent skull
But hey,
clap.
college football sounds fun this weekend.
Yeah.
I'm
Notre
definitely
Dame.
tuning into that Notre Dame Texas A&M game, and the one that I am excited about that we didn't get to touch on too much is the hometown kid Diego Pavia going up against the Heisman potential winner.
Yeah.
That should be That should be juicy.
Yeah, it's gonna be
So
good.
JB, before we kick these people off to their beautiful jobs, um, let me just ask you real quick. Rex Ryan, ESPN personality, ESPN pundit, gets a little excited in the mornings. Maybe has a little too much caffeine. Maybe has a little vodka in his coffee. I don't know. Probably. It's
Who
Rex
knows?
Ryan. He came out and he called. Let me read you exactly. All right. So he comes on, Rex Ryan. He called Mike McDaniels a nerd boy, pointing out the lack of his lack of respect for him. Is Rex Ryan right? Is the Miami Dolphins a Mike McDaniels issue, or is it more than just that?
I think it is a little bit of a Mike McDaniel issue right now. How much control does he have over that locker room? It's looking pretty bleak right now. We're gonna have to see how they respond. But there's a lot of speculation going up in the air. I mean, there's even trade rumors that we're starting to see around Tyreek. Possibly, the Chiefs might be interested in getting a guy now that Worthy's down, going to miss a few weeks. It's just like, do you have control of that locker room still? You don't want to lose control of the locker room. But it's really early. It's overreaction. It's overreaction. You get killed week 1 by Indy. Daniel Jones making his first start. How can you bounce back from that? If this turns into a weekly thing where Tua turned the ball over, is still making mistakes,
Too good.
won't have
Say
this
that one more time for me.
offense
That was
that we saw
too.
a couple years ago, then okay, he's on the hot seat. He might not have a job in Miami too much longer. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Does he get control of the team? Does the team improve? Getting a phone call?
No, I wish. I just wanted to see your reaction if we got. Hey, don't forget, boys. You guys can call, or boys and gals. Shout out the gals that are watching the show. Um, don't forget you can call in at 575-808-9307. I just wanted to see your reaction right there, Borba. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Well, I mean,
But the lines are open.
that's what they could be doing to Mike McDaniel pretty soon. So you never know. Yeah, like I said,
Hey,
uh,
JB, and we're gonna cover this stuff this weekend or tomorrow, and then we're gonna have Earl on the show to kind of break down a little bit of the Thursday night football since the Packers are playing in Lambeau Field. But just real quick to finish this Miami conversation, uh, they got the Patriots this weekend. It feels like a must win. There's a lot of outside noise. Tyreek's got a bunch of personal issues kind of going on. Your best player having a bunch of issues outside the field is going to kind of, I feel like that's going to leak into the culture and the atmosphere in your own locker room. As much as you don't want it to bother anybody or bother him, like it's just life, man. Sometimes when you get just overwhelmed with problems and situations, not everybody's going to react properly. Not everybody around you necessarily is going to take in your energy how you would expect. So, some little bit of self awareness probably for Tyreek Hill. But we saw his interview at the beginning of the year. It seems like he's locked in, but of course, it's easy to say that. It's another thing to show it. But they got the Patriots this weekend, must win, and then they got the Bills, Jets, Panthers. These guys aren't completely out of it. They can easily still be at 3-2 going into Week 6 against the Chargers, but. Let's just say for our fantasy fall or our fantasy folks that play fantasy football, Tyreek Hill. There's a lot of owners right now in fantasy football who look at Tyreek Hill and it's like, damn. I remember at one point Tyreek Hill was one of the guys that you wanted at your he was one of like the top 3 that come off the board, right? And now it's like Tyreek might fall to the second round depending on if you're on a 10-person league, 12-person or 8-person league. Probably not a 12-person league, but definitely in a 10-person league, he might fall to the second round. If you're a fantasy owner and you see Tyreek Hill, are we starting him this weekend, or are we starting to look to trade him? And if you trade him, are you also possibly giving up the chance of him being traded to a actual contender?
that's the thing. So in most 10 to 12 man leagues, 12-man league, he was coming off late second round. 10-man leagues, you were seeing him come off the board in about a third round. At least that's what I experienced this year. So if you trade a guy away like that, you do put yourself at kind of a disadvantage because it's still very early. I don't think I mean, we see it in all these leagues that at least what I'm seeing in these leagues, yeah, guys overreacting, putting guys on the trade block. This guy's up for trade, blah, blah, blah. I think it's too early to give up on Tyreek Hill yet. Let's let everyone settle back in, get the offense going a little bit, and come up with some ways to get Tyreek Hill involved, and the rest of that offense too, because Devon Achan, he kind of started off slow as well, had some garbage time points, and finished off with a decent day in fantasy. But um, you gotta offensively, Mike McDaniel has to do something to get these playmakers involved. You got a lot of skilled weapons over there, a lot of speed. It's just not coming together right now. Whose kind of fault is that? Is he not setting up Tua the best way? Tua seems like, we've always kind of said he's a system quarterback. Get the ball out. He's got maybe two reads, and then if you don't have the two reads, then it kind of gets a little iffy. So you got to right now you got to work into these players' strengths. And that's what Mike McDaniel did so well his first season in Miami. And it's kind of degressed since then. Is it now that teams are figuring this offense out? Are they figuring McDaniel out? Was he just kind of a one-trick pony coming into his head coaching position? That's kind of what we're seeing now. Things are starting to heat up. We're going to find out a lot, and I'll say in this next month, the next 3 to 4 games, we're going to find out a lot of what this team is going to be about, the direction that they're going,
I think we
and
find
from there, I mean, is Tyreek still going to be on this team if they continue to lack the offensive power that they have had in the past? Especially if these guys are healthy. A
an
lot of ifs.
overrated, what seems to be an overrated offense right now at this point. It's disappointing. They have the weapons, just for whatever reason, they just can't tie it together. I only disagree with you with the statement of you saying we're going to see a lot within this next month. I think we find out a little earlier. I think we find out this Sunday exactly how that organization is going to move forward. I think the loss to this New England Patriots team, you can't. You just
Huge.
can't lose this game.
No,
You
you
and you
can't.
definitely can't have a bad game like Tua had in week 1. If that does happen, I see a lot of moving pieces, a lot of moving. So right now, while you have the chance, if I have Tyreek Hill on my fantasy team, I'm looking I'm looking to trade for him. Bring me Tyreek Hill. This might be your chance to take advantage of one of your buddies that might be having a drink or two, right? Not right now, but hit him up maybe there at night when he's winding down. Send him the trade offer. You might get away with sending two players, and then come in like week 7, week 8, when the dance starts coming around, the fantasy football dance. Once that starts coming around, all of a sudden you got a gem because Tyreek Hill is back with the Chiefs, or with the Eagles, because it seems like the Eagles get anybody and everybody for like a 5th or 6th round pick, or just off the streets, and then all of a sudden they got all pros. But that's just salty wounds in my heart there, JB. JB, before we leave the show, I just got a question. Are you going to the air show that's coming into town? It kicks off
I'm
today.
actually gonna be in Artesia working it's a red dirt something. It's some sort of concert. So I'm gonna be giving out some slushies,
In Artesia?
whipping up the slushy machine, giving those out. So we're gonna have some fun with that Thursday and Friday. But no, I don't want to go to. Ever since I saw that video of the air show in Reno
So,
where that tragic accident happened, not a not too big of a fan of being around an air show because I don't know what to predict. So uh, I'm weird like that. So I'm not going to put
no,
myself in a risk where I could possibly go because these guys get in a wreck or something. No,
yeah, yeah,
take me
yeah.
away from
Why?
there. I'll watch the
It's like, why do you
highlights.
skydive? It's like,
Yeah,
why do you
nope,
skydive? You might die. You
nope.
might die.
Don't put. I do not put myself in any risk where I'm going to die. Let's just say that. I do not do that. I'm not about that. No thanks. Nope. I'm not about the air show. The air show's cool and stuff, but I'll watch it. I'll watch it through my phone, through my mobile device,
Yep.
online. I'm good with
Oh,
that.
I think I saw Roz was expecting over like 50,000
Oh,
people
it's
to come
huge.
into
Even
town,
more. Even
which is
more.
so exciting. So exciting. If you're a waiter or just a person that sees another person in the street, be a friend, tell a friend something nice. It might change your life. I believe that. I love that. I always say it because that's the one thing that I love about Pat McAfee is that the guy always gives off good energy. And just remember that you're representing your town today or this weekend. You want these people to come back here and say this is a beautiful city. So when they go out back to their state, they go and tell them. And guys, you got to remember this: they're funneling in money here. The more they spend, the better for our economy locally, and the better for these local businesses. So instead of complaining about the people that are coming over here and flooding it, let's embrace it. Let's love it. Let's enjoy it, and let's give them the experience of their life. That's Roswell for you, baby. Come together. And guys, this is Speaking Out Loud. I appreciate you guys joining us. Tim, thank you for coming on and educating us just a little bit more on college football, the people on Facebook, the people on YouTube, and the people on TikTok that joined us today. I appreciate you guys. Don't forget to share and dance like you just don't care. It's early in the morning. Let's have a day. And like I said, be a friend, tell a friend something nice. It might change their life. Shout out PMS.